I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oconee County Board of Zoning Appeals for Monday, March 27th, 2023. First order of business is approval of minutes for 1/26/23. There were four of us there. Let me see. We've got the four here that were here
Yes.
last time.
I move the acceptance.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. Any comments, any additions, deletions?
You need to change the date to 1/23, not 1/26.
Okay.
What?
On the
date,
minutes?
yes. No, the minutes is correct. You're the, unless you're changing it to 1/26.
What did I say? Did I say something wrong?
You said 1/26, it's 1/23.
123.
I read 2023. Transpose, thank you. The minutes for 1/26/23. The only issue I'd like to make sure we're all together on is the restrictions we placed on the request for the boat dealer.
Yeah.
Those restrictions, it's on the third page of your handout in the middle. Everyone comfortable with what we said there?
What was the date of the meeting? Was it the 23rd or the 26th?
Meeting was January 26th.
Okay, well then that's an error in the minutes because it says 123 on the minutes on the.
They just need to agree whichever way it is.
Huh?
It just needs to agree whichever way.
Yeah. So we should change. We should amend.
Monday was 1/23. It was January 23rd. That's when the
Okay.
meeting was held. He needs to state that it was January.
Mr. Secretary, you all together on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can change that. Then the question I have is, do we get the right words down on paper here concerning restrictions for the new boat dealer?
Yes. From what I could
You're
see,
okay, John?
Everything was fine.
Okay, you guys all set on that? You okay? Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor in approving the minutes, please say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
4-0. We have one abstention, because Bill wasn't here. Okay, that out of the way. Folks, if you haven't been here before, here's the way we operate. For each issue before us, we ask the applicant to come up and present their case. Typically have 5 minutes. I'm not going to cut you off at 5 minutes if you got something more to say, but please don't plan to come up here and spend 20 or 30 minutes presenting your case. You've given us a lot of written material, and we're pretty familiar with what you want, so about 5 minutes, but I'm not going to cut you off. Then ask the staff to address any issues that they see with the request. We'll then give citizens a chance to comment. We've had a few people sign up for individual cases before us. You'll have a chance to comment. Have 5 minutes. Please don't go on and on and on. I want everybody to have a chance to say what they want to say. But kind of respect our time and the time of everyone else. And if someone else has said what you're already going to say, you're welcome up and say, hey, I'm saying the same thing, but please don't go on and on. But I want everyone to say your piece. Really do want that. We'll then give the applicant a chance to rebut any comments that were made during those comments from the public. If they have any additional information or anything that may provide more information that might satisfy what someone said during their comments. We'll then take up the issue, and we have specific questions we have to ask. We'll take up the issue and render our verdict. Okay, so first item we have is variance application number VA23-0001. Kathy O'Brien is requesting a 5-foot variance to the 5-foot side setback along the northwest property line, TMS 111-12-03-011. The address is 55 Par Harbor Way, Salem, South Carolina, 29676. Is Ms. O'Brien here?
I am.
Looks like she is.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here this evening. So basically what I want to do, I have an existing deck on the back of the house that I'd like to just put a cover over, a roof line over, so that we can make that space a little more usable. It's facing the western sun, gets a lot of that heat in the afternoon, and we'd just like to cover it. And so the setback, because the property runs up close to the property line, as you can see on the plat there, what we want to, the left post actually encroaches into the setback up to 5 feet, but it does not cross the property line. But it's only that left post and the roof line, it's actually the roof line that encroaches 5 feet into that setback. The right side does not. It's because of the angle of the property line, as you can see. So we were just wanting to be able to cover that, to make it a more usable space.
Now, this is up in Kiwi Key,
Yes.
and do you have you talked to your neighbors about this?
Yes, I have.
And
And they're excited about it.
in what way?
Well, we have a lot of gatherings at our house, and so they're looking forward to being able to use that space with us as well.
Okay.
But I've talked to pretty much every neighbor on our street. And Kiwi Key, as you saw, Kiwi Key has approved the variance. We went through that variance process as well.
Okay, fine, thank you. We'll now ask for any input from, I wonder, as I understand, you've talked to the Kiwi Key, whatever committee is in Kiwi Key, the architectural committee that has to approve this, and we've got that approval in here, is that correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and I see Mr. McCracken's on the comment list, so we might hear from him.
He's here.
So not right, just give me a chance, I'm just trying to
Sure, absolutely.
get myself oriented. Okay, let me ask our staff if they have any comments on this.
Pretty straightforward. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for staff? Okay, you can have a seat, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have two people signed up. Mary, is it Belcher?
Mr. McCracken's gonna talk in place.
Okay. Is Mr. McCracken here? Please.
Thank you. My name's Kevin McCracken. I'm the general manager at Kiwi Key, and as you've already mentioned, our architectural review committee unanimously approved the variance request, and I speak on behalf of Kiwi Key in support of the request for this variance, and hope that you'll approve it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, do you have anything else to say? Ms. O'Brien? Okay. We can now take this up for consideration then. Let me get my questions right here. Does the board have any questions before we consider, any questions of the applicant or?
Looks very straightforward.
Okay.
Is there any utilities in the 5-foot setback?
No.
Mr. McCracken, can you answer, could both you, one of you answer? Any utilities involved here?
No, ma'am, none that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to consideration. Our first question is, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. I have a motion in the
So
affirmative.
moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Any discussion? I think just, to me, it's just the placement of her deck and the fact that she wants some relief from the sun.
Yeah.
It's on the west side, and I mean, I can understand that, provided it doesn't impact on the neighbors, and we're gonna talk about that, so.
And they abut the rough on the golf course, which is, it's gonna stay there, so it doesn't matter. There's nothing
Okay.
gonna change.
Any other discussion? A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
5-0 in favor. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I get 5-0. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
5-0. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm pleased to see Mr. McCracken here. I think he speaks for owner association, that should satisfy us. If it's okay with them and their committees, it's okay, it should be okay with us. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 in favor. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. 5-0 approved. So, the request is approved. Thank you, folks. Appreciate
Thank
your
you very much.
coming. Variance application number VA 23-0002. Carrie S. Smith is requesting a 9-foot variance to the 25-foot front setback. TMS 120-00-01-058. The address is 675 Picket Post Road, Walhalla, South Carolina, 29691. Is Mr. Smith here?
No, I'm not gonna take up too much time, but I didn't know about the county 25-foot setback off the state's 33 feet. I knew about the state's, so I stayed off of it. But I parked there for 30-plus years, you know, and I didn't see no reason not to put a roof over my vehicles and keep the sun and the hailstorms off of it. And I hadn't talked to many people that even knew about county variance. But, you know, if you would grant me permission to put it there, they probably wouldn't be but about 10 bolts holding this car shed down. It's not gonna be enclosed, it's not gonna be heavy, and it would be easy to move, you know, if it had to be. I don't look for picket posts to be a 4-lane anytime soon, but, you know, that's basically all I got, fellas. I spent a bunch of money pouring concrete, and I designed that shed to go right there. And anything outside of that's not for it. And I'd appreciate it if y'all would work with me.
Got a lot of concrete there.
I do.
And we have with us, I think, was 3 letters of your neighbors supporting this.
My neighbors is fine with it. They never heard of the county ordinance either.
So you didn't need a building permit to put in the concrete?
No. A concrete worker don't even have any reason to ask you what you're gonna do. Tell him what you want, you know? But you don't have to have a permit for it.
Because I was wondering, would that have raised the red flag?
Well, it would have if you had to get a permit, yeah. It
So
would.
you didn't need one, huh?
Yeah, you don't need one. That I know of.
Okay, fine, sir. Well, let's get back up if we have anything else we need.
Okay.
Mr. Secretary, do you have any comments?
No, just point out, there were 4 letters that were also submitted with this application.
It's 4 letters, not 3, it was 4.
And, yep, that's another pretty straightforward one. The request is for variance, not inside the right of way. It does not present a sight distance or sight triangle issue for drivers on that road. If you have any other questions for me, I'm happy to address them.
Okay.
With regard to the question I asked before, so he didn't need a building permit to put in a concrete slab?
No, sir. So that subgrade work, there is not a building permit. There is not a land disturbance permit for the county at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have one person signed up, Mark Smith.
How y'all doing?
Good.
All right. Well, he said, we asked a lot of people on Picket Post Road if they knew about that 25-foot setback. And I find it weird that there was signs up to let everybody know that it was gonna be a 9-foot variance. But I don't remember anything about, so when did that get passed? When did that get the stamp from the, I guess, county council?
A long time ago. It's been in
90s?
2008.
Okay.
2008.
I just don't, I don't even understand why that's there, first of all, but that's not an argument today. All of his neighbors, they don't care. It's not gonna block anybody's view, or when they're looking to pull out into the road. I mean, it's just, seems to me like common sense, you know? I ain't gonna bother nothing.
You understand? That's why you come to us, because it seems like common sense and you want some relief. That's why you come.
But, yeah, the 25-foot setback, that's not to argue with y'all. I don't agree with it, but
Yeah, we're in a position to change that.
I know that, but I do think it's ridiculous. But, yeah, that's all I got to say. Nobody cares, so.
Okay,
Could be
fine.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. Carrie Smith, did you want to say anything else?
No,
Now's your chance.
not unless you got something you want to ask.
I don't think so, unless someone has any questions.
No, straightforward.
Okay. In that case, let's move to consider this. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No, straightforward.
Okay, everyone feels comfortable with it? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 in favor. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
So
Okay.
we know there's no plans to change this road anytime soon.
Picket Post Road, I don't, yeah, I don't,
It's not on the state's 2040 plan.
2040, okay? He's been parking there 30 years, there's not been a problem.
It's
He's got another,
it's a pretty rural road.
it's a,
he's got another tool, you know.
I would call it a rural county road.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I don't, like the applicant said, I don't think it's itching to be a 4-lane road here anytime soon.
Right.
And I guess, so, motion a second. Is there any, could I have a vote? All in favor, say aye, please. Raise your hand.
Aye.
5-0 in favor. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? I don't know if it's unreasonable or not. I mean, he wants to be able to park his cars and cover, provide some cover. I don't, I think it's a reasonable thing to want to do.
Yeah, I.
Makes sense.
Agreed.
Okay. We have a motion to second. And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0 in favor. The authorization of variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
I guess a couple of things. We've got 4 letters supporting this in the backup material. We had Mr. Smith also supporting it. And if you go and look at this, to me, it certainly fits in the neighborhood. It's not like it's
Yeah.
going to be a,
No question it fits in the neighborhood.
any other comments?
No.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. We have 5-0 in favor. Excuse me. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 in favor. Your request has been approved. Go build your carport.
Appreciate you fellows help. Appreciate it.
Surely, surely. Thank you for coming. Okay, our third item, variance application number VA 23-0003-. I haven't got all the numbers here. I guess that's it. Okay, I'm sorry. Randy Moore of YNR Construction LLC is requesting an 18-foot variance to the 25-foot front setback, TMS 045-00-02-166. The address is 289 Jocassee Ridge Way, Salem, South Carolina, 29676. Is Mr. Moore here?
James Moore, representative for Randy for the evening. Randy's mother passed away and my grandmother. So anyway, it's me today,
And what is your name, please, sir?
James Moore.
James Moore, okay.
So what we're requesting is, we're a residential builder in the county, and the homeowners reached out to us to build them a custom home at 289 Joe Cassie Ridge. They're from Montana, moving back from Montana. They bought the land prior to reaching any agreement or knowing us, so we wasn't involved when they bought the land to give it any thought as far as the size of the property. Turns out there's a considerable, more than considerable, it's a straight off bluff at the back of the lot. So in everything up there, we came up with the best possible way to make this house sit, to look natural, to look good with the curve of the road, to look good with everything involved. And we've got, what we have is the best case we can come up with to make everything work, including the septic tank permit and all things considered, is it puts our closest corner of the front porch at 22 feet from asphalt, which is 32 feet. And I think the subdivision has 25 feet, and then the 25 feet of the county for a total of 50. That's where the 18 variance comes from. As it goes away from that corner, the house goes further from the road. The road curves to the right down the hill. The house turns slightly left to gain view. So we're seeking the variance just to make the land that they bought work. That they didn't know about the rule. We weren't involved at the time that they bought the property. And it's probably worth noting that we actually, prior to 2008, what I call, as a young man, I call it the crash. I refer to 2008 as the crash and probably always will unless one worse comes along. I was involved with building or built on top of that mountain 270, 272, 277, and 282. And matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the builder for 283 sitting right there. So all of those are as close as this variance is asking for or closer, and for the exact same reasons. Agreed, Mike?
Yeah, great.
Went, talked to the HOA, went with, matter of fact, Dean, the head of the HOA for the community, is sitting back there in the back row. We've tried to consider every possible aspect of it. Would it affect anything? Does it affect any utilities, anybody else? Can't think of any reason why it shouldn't be able to work. Being that these people are coming this far and have spent the money they've spent, we really want to see it go through, and it would fit right in, and it would actually be further from the road than several of them that are there. But of course, they were built 2004 to 2007, and I know this rule went in 2008, but hadn't built many up there since the crash, and the ones we did build was a lot further from the road, better lots. So I think that pretty much, is there any reason to go over the HOA's paperwork? I know you guys seem to have.
We just might want to
y'all seem
reiterate what they've told, as I
seem to be
recall.
very versed with everybody else's case so far, so I have no reason to think you hadn't saw my paperwork.
Everybody can see.
So I guess my point is, everything that we can come up with so far, including the HOA, everybody's for this moving forward. So that's all I have, unless I need to have a rebuttal.
If you could clarify for me, this house will not be any closer to the road than the others nearby?
Correct.
They're close, I know they're within the setback also.
They're actually, a few of them are closer. And matter of fact, about 4 of them are as closer out of the 5 closest neighbors.
Could you have built a smaller house?
Well, you can always build a smaller house, but the problem is we're about as small as we can go for the subdivision's needs. And the house they have, actually, we flip-flopped it already to put the wider section on the part farthest from the road. So we've already made as much accommodation as we can without backing off the bluff. The issue with backing off the bluff, I mean, you can build on anything in this world. There's always a way to build. But the problem is when it adds $100,000 to a $500,000 project, you're talking a substantial percentage. And quite frankly, they don't have it. So we're looking for a way to make what they have work in their budget. Reasonable.
What do you do to stabilize the soil there so that you don't have a landslide and the building doesn't go over the precipice?
Currently, we're in virgin cut. If we don't get this variance and we have to back it up, then we're on the bluff and then it becomes the danger.
Okay, so
Then you have to bore into the bank, you have to do all kind of rebar, sonotubes, it's almost more like commercial
you're all
construction at
into
that point.
solid
We're in
ground
solid
where you're-
currently in an extreme amount of rock.
Because I'll tell you, that's a major drop.
It is, it is.
It's about
You're
looks like
telling
about
me,
100
I've been
feet.
off those hills.
But it's also a major view.
It's a major
Sure.
view. It's the most
Yeah.
beautiful views in the county,
Yeah.
to my knowledge. And I've been all over Kiwi and Jocassee. But it's, basically just doing our absolute best to look out for these homeowners and their investment.
Okay, you don't have any more questions for Mr. Moore? Okay, please have a seat and we'll get back to you if we have any.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
James, do you have any input on this?
Ms. Fowler asked to look at a topo map, so I'm gonna pull that up for you guys real quick. if
Oh,
you don't
okay.
have it on your screen. So the yellow line right here, so this yellow line is a 100-foot drop. To the next yellow line back here is another 100-foot, so you got a 200-foot drop, just on this lot before you can get to the end of it. It's about 1380 right here, so, I would agree that it's very steep.
Yeah, Okay, anything else you have?
Nope, no, they're pretty consistent. There are several homes that are built kind of with the same footprint up there. They mentioned that. There is a letter of support from the HOA. And I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have or any additional information I can provide for you.
Okay, any other questions? Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to say something? Yes,
I
sir.
didn't sign up, but I would
Yeah,
ask,
I want to give you the chance. Yes, please come up.
we'll just. I'm Dean Jackman. I'm the HOA president in Jocassee Ridge, and also I chair the architectural committee in there. Jocassee Ridge is starting to grow, and if you guys are familiar with Smeltzer Mountain up there, it's been developed for 20 years, and a lot of lots are selling. And I'm sure there's gonna be a couple more that's gonna come into you, just like Mr. Moore's, that are on Smeltzer Mountain there, that the only way it's gonna happen is to go, revert back to prior to 2008, because they're gonna be right on the edge of the cliff. And, but the HOA, the architectural committee, we've reviewed it, and this is the best thing, to keep the houses in line, what's current in Jocassee Ridge, and the type of construction. We're good with it. If
Well,
you
it's
guys
consistent
are
with what
good
you've done on other properties. And I'm
Correct.
sure you don't want just an empty lot there.
No, and I'm sure there's a lot of lot owners that would be unhappy if they couldn't continue to build, on the top up there. But it is, at the top of Jocassee Ridge Way, they're Mountain View homes, and they're all right on the edge. So, and like Mr. Moore said, we've got houses that are 5 foot, prior to the setback requirement, so, and it hasn't been a problem yet, so I don't see it being a problem in the future either with the variance.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who'd like to say something? Sir?
I'm Mike Alexander. I built a house at 283, which is 2 lots above the house they're looking at building now, and it's maybe 15 foot off the road, and it's a straight bluff off the back side of it. So he really's got no options that I see as a builder to slide it as close as you could to the highway and keep it from erosion off the side of that mountain. And that's what problems we had at first, erosion and getting too far back on the side of that mountain, and that rock shelf. The house needs to be close to the highway. And there's several lots. You got $1 million view, so it's sad not to build a house there. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who'd like to say something? Now's your chance. Okay. No more comments, so. I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and consider our questions. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property.
So moved in the affirmative?
Second.
I don't think we need a discussion there.
No, I wouldn't want to have move any farther back, and I wouldn't want to have too much to drink and walk out in the backyard at night either.
All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
5-0, approved. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
So moved in the affirmative?
Have a second? Second. Any discussion? I guess they do apply to other close-by properties, but in general,
Yeah.
these conditions don't apply to.
It applies to the circumstance where they're built that close to the precipice.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0 approved. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any comments? Any discussion? Pretty straightforward. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of variance.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? Pretty straightforward what we said already. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. 5-0 approved. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 approved. The request is approved. Please proceed building. There it is back here. I'm in the wrong place. Okay, our next item. You folks don't have to stay for all these items. You're welcome. If you want to stay, you're welcome to, but you're welcome to leave if you need to. Variance application number VA 23-0004. Karuiam Booker of Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated is requesting an additional 3-foot variance to the 25-foot front setback from the original variance approved as VA 22-0009. TMS 176-00-01-155. The address is 102 Lusk Drive, West Union, South Carolina, 29696. Is Mr. Booker here?
Hey, good afternoon.
Yes. State your name, please, for the record.
It's Kareem Booker,
Kareem.
Civil and Environmental Consultants located at 530 Howell Road, Greenville, South Carolina. Thank you again for y'all's time today, and we're here for a second time, but for a different reason, nonetheless. So just a little update or information on this property. This 102 Lush Drive was built around 1970s, prior to the expansion of SC 28. At some point, 28 was expanded, and this particular facility became a dental office. Well, it was acquired by our client, in which now he's wanting to expand the services of his dental facility. And a part of this expansion, we're having to come to get a variance for the 25-foot setback requirement. When we came the first time, we hadn't worked out all the details on the inside of the building, but in anticipation of what we thought we would run into, we kind of moved forward with what we thought would be the building footprint. And so initially, we got the variance accepted. And since I'm a civil engineer and I know the site well, I brought the contractor to talk about the programming of the inside of the building and what changed in relations to the building, and then also the impacts that the client faced, in which it came to whether he would have to shut down his facility to make this renovation or potentially ask for an additional variance to keep his business currently going and then do the addition. If it's okay with you, I'd ask the contractor.
That's fine, yes, let's go ahead and do that.
Good evening.
You state your name, please, for the
Matt
record.
Aho with Rockwell South. Matt Aho with Rockwell South LLC. After the initial variance meeting, the architect went through there, and with the cost of the project, the dental company asked if we could incorporate a ADA compliant bathroom into the construction that we're gonna do, because we were gonna two-phase it, go ahead and add the addition to it, and then go back in, and after we moved them in the back, then we were gonna move to the front and do the whole front, and then we looked at the cost of everything, and as you all know, the cost of construction has jumped considerably in the last couple of years. So to add the ADA bathroom in there and to expand the treatment rooms like we needed with the right amount of room to get around the chairs, we're asking for this variance. Because it's gonna add 3 more feet toward Highway 28.
As I recall, you can't go back because of the power line that's overhead.
Correct.
Can't go toward the back.
Yes.
So this is, you have to do this in order to provide the ADA bathroom?
Yes,
or
we
is
have
it-
to-
Is it for the convenience of the operation to allow them,
To stay open while we're doing the back addition, yes. So, but we still had to make the building ADA compliant with a bathroom inside. So rather than do the back and then come back in and basically gut the whole front half to get the ADA compliant bathroom to work, it was easier to place it in the new section.
Does the ADA bathroom drive the need for the variance?
Yes. Yep. Because it wouldn't have been required if we could keep the cost low enough to come in and redo the whole front of the existing building as it sits now.
Would you mind walking over there and showing me where you're exactly expanding?
So, this is the existing building right here, and then we're adding this addition to the back.
All right.
So all the space will still be used as a dental office?
Absolutely,
It's
yes.
just that there's more of it,
Yes.
there's just
Well,
more of it.
there's more of it because of the ADA bathroom in there and the requirements in an ADA bathroom, yes.
That many square feet, just,
No, we had on the original plan, we had, I think, 6 additional chairs.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that was on the original part of it, yes, yep.
okay, could you spell your last name for me? I just missed it.
A is in Apple, H is in Henry, O is in Oscar.
A-H-O, okay, I was
Yep.
close. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Aho? Okay, thank you, sir. Have a seat. Any comments from staff?
So the original variance was to keep the back of the building in line with the existing building. This is an additional 3 foot closer to the setback. There's some extenuating circumstances, but happy to answer any questions you have about the layout or anything else.
Why did they have to go wider on the new section than the old section?
With the ADA bathroom was driving, he said.
Is that really what's driving it?
That's what he said.
I guess if it had been presented this way originally, would we have any problem with it?
No, I don't think so.
Far enough away from the road and everything, that, we'll consider all that, but
Can't see where it's gonna hurt anything.
this is not, from your point of view, this is not adding any additional negative factors to. Okay, so no further comments from the staff. Anything else that applicant would like to say? Okay. Let's go ahead and consider this. Make sure I'm in the right place. First question is, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property.
So moved in the affirmative.
second.
Okay, any discussion?
To me, the key question one of you asked is, would this be approved if it was the first time, if this is the plan that was presented the first time? And the answer is yes. That, to me, that makes this one even more important that we vote yes on this one.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, 5-0. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? Once a dental office that kind of exists on its own out there, so I don't think that's an issue.
Not much around it.
All those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 5-0 approved. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Discussion. I think he's pretty well made his case. They have an ADA bathroom issue, and they need to
Yeah.
accommodate that. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 approved. The authorization of variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Any discussion? I think we've pretty well covered the subject. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 approved. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 approved. Okay, you have your variance. Thank you, sirs. Our last item, I think. Variance application number VA 23-0005. Jody Smith is requesting a 2.36-foot variance to the vegetative buffer in the lake overlay. TMS 193-02-01-012. The address is 210 Honeysuckle Drive, Seneca, South Carolina, 29672. Is Mr. or Ms. Smith here? Mr. Smith.
I'm Jody Smith of Alexander Custom Homes. We received this plan from the homeowner, and we had it surveyed, and there was a pre-existing pool there. The whole house has been redone. There's a pre-existing pool there, and the pool needed to be raised up to accommodate the way the new house has been placed on the property. So we had everything, got this plan from the homeowner, had everything surveyed, and somewhere between the drawing and the mason digging the foot and stuff like that, the corner got shifted. And I didn't realize that the 2 foot on that one side where the stairs are, it was that far in the buffer.
You show me exactly where this is. Is it,
Can you walk over there and show us?
does this have to go over, do we have to move this to the right some?
So right here, we're about 9 inches into the buffer. It falls down the line, it's about 3/4 into it right here. And right here's where the biggest part is right there. This little turn in the stairway that's gonna be there. The stairs right here are just a little bit also.
Okay.
There's a pre-existing pool in this exact location. We just had to raise it up some and built a wall here, and didn't realize that it was over that far.
Okay, so it's kind of all along there then that you have a problem, all along the
Pretty much.
closest section of that
Yeah, which-
wall.
Just the varying degrees.
Yes.
And you're asking forgiveness, not permission.
Yes.
Am I right?
Please.
You have about half a mile of brick out there already.
Yes, I was gung-ho about just, replacing it, tear it down, and moving it over until I found out how much it's gonna cost me. And it was gonna be $10,000 for that one section of the wall there. That's why I'm here.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Smith, where we talk? Okay, thank you, sir. You can have a seat, we'll call you back if we need something. Staff have any comments?
Just a couple. So this is a little bit more unique than the rest of the ones we've had tonight. The lake overlay allows for 2 types of construction within the buffer. The first is pathways to access the lake. The second is on-grade decks and patios. So if this were normally allowed to put retaining walls to hold up a pool, there wouldn't be any issue. It's way less than the 15% allowable development within the buffer. Just the fact that it's a retaining wall to hold up a pool, they're required to have this variance from y'all to proceed with that. They went through a lot of the right steps ahead of time, so they had it surveyed, they had a surveyor come out, lay it out, and like he said, there's some extenuating circumstances that happened between the surveyor laying it out and actually getting built, so there was a little bit of a variance there. And, you know, you need, that's what the consideration is for an exception to what is allowable within the buffer.
Okay,
Is there an HOA, is there an HOA involved at all?
pardon me?
Is there an HOA involved at all?
I don't think there's an HOA in that neighborhood, is there?
No, okay.
Had a question I was gonna. Okay, are there any other comments from those in the audience? Anyone else have anything else they'd like to say? Okay, any other questions in general? Okay, let's consider the issue. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Any discussion?
So to me, the key question was what you were asking, Jim, is, or they're asking for forgiveness rather than, so the question.
Bricks are laid. They're all, if you haven't been over there, he's got half a mile of bricks. This is a portion of it.
That's right. The infraction seems to be fairly minimal.
But the impact on anybody around there seems to be very minimal. I mean, the wall isn't gonna hurt anybody being 3 feet out, I don't think.
Yeah, I just, I'm all in favor. We need to maintain the buffer. The buffer is there for a reason. And I don't want our thinking to get us away from maintaining the buffer. But if you look at this property versus other properties in that area, the buffering would be consistent. So.
This would be consistent to the buffering around them?
Yeah. Other properties along this side of the lake, many of them have grass comes right down. There's a retaining wall at the lake. It's not rip-wrapped, it's a retaining wall. I think runs along like 4 or 5 houses there. I got that right? Yeah, there's a retaining wall. So many of those have grass coming right down to the retaining wall. And this has room for landscaping of some kind between the existing wall and the retaining wall. The lake retaining wall. Understand what I'm saying?
And what's there is stable, there's no erosion or any problems with that?
They have a seawall installed in front of that house, this house in question.
Okay.
There's a seawall that's already, it's a vinyl sheet pile wall.
Okay.
Yeah, that maybe I misstated. I didn't use the right term. It's a seawall, right, instead of rip-wrap. And it's flat. There's no grade there. So I don't think erosion is going to be an issue. And I expect they could put landscaping of some kind between the seawall and this retaining wall that's in question.
Is that a question for us?
Okay.
Would you like them to, would you like them to address the landscaping issue?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Go ahead.
Is that a question for us on the erosion control?
Yeah.
Sure, if you want to. We're really in decision-making now, but I think we understand what the options are. We're all set. Thank you. Okay. We've asked a question. We had a second. All those in favor, please say aye. 5-0 approved. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Any discussion? It's pretty unique to this property. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. 5-0 approved. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property.
So moved in the affirmative.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I think the key word here is unreasonably. He could move it back, but it's gonna cost him, he said $10,000, I could believe 10 grand.
That would be unreasonable.
He's got under that brick wall, I don't know about this hall, and he's got put a new foundation under that, and I don't,
I
doesn't
think it'd
seem
be
reasonable.
unreasonable to ask them to move it for the sake of
The
the.
staff has said they've tried to do everything right, and they just screwed up. It just didn't work out right. Okay, so, unreasonably. All those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 5-0 approved. The authorization of a variance will not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent uses or the public good. And the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
So moved in the affirmative.
For a second.
Second.
Discussion. The guy's trying to say it's really going to be consistent with what treatments are on the front of neighboring houses. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. Passes 5-0. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. Approved 5-0. You have your variance, folks.
Thank you.
You were easy tonight. Okay, now, on the agenda. I thought we missed something. Item 3 on the agenda was Board of Zoning Appeals procedures/process. Now, we can scratch that, okay? I didn't mean to get by there. We talked last time.
We have adopted, so we were all set.
We've adopted the process. As I recall, one of the key issues was
Lead time.
lead time and whether we would accept any information or further materials at the time of presentation. We said no, none. Is that where that came out?
Right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I have it straight so that when someone comes up with a piece of paper, I can say, go home.
It worked better this time.
You had it on Wednesday. Actually, you had it Tuesday night, and I sent it at 4 o'clock Tuesday, and just told you I would send an addendum if anybody got anything in the last hour. So.
It's good. It worked fine. And I think we had in time, and sounds like they're all okay. So tell them we're firmly in, if they come in with extra stuff, it's going to be refused.
We've changed it, and so in the initial, when they send in their application, they get a list of dates. So the hearing date today, the cutoff date, then we're advertising, we give them all of that. So the cutoff, it's just, the cutoff for material is.
Okay,
So
good.
that's what it needed to be. It doesn't need to be drug in the day of the hearing.
If y'all are happy with it, we can continue with that.
Sounds right to me. What else set?
Move we adjourn.
Oh, I have one, just housekeeping, I think I've gotten everybody's, but April 11th in this building, 10 a.m., your in-service training. It is a different presenter from the COG this time. So it'll be Mr. Lance Epstein instead of Jennifer, who's done several in the past. So you might hear something different, get some different perspective. It is required, so you can do it in person, or you can do the videos on YouTube. Up to y'all, but please let me know if you haven't gotten your stuff in.
Okay, anything else? We stand adjourned.
Are we gonna vote on it, or are you just dismissing it?
I thought we voted. Did we not vote on it? Oh.